The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hello, Andy. Hello, Second Breakfast Nation. Andy, I'm leaving my hat on. You know what that means, right?
It's the end of the full Monty.
You can leave your hat on. It is, I didn't mean that until it came out, and I was like, that's not even what I was thinking, but I love Randy Newman. I actually was trying to learn how to play that song on the piano the other day. And no, I think all it means is people, I don't care what you think about me today. We're going to get down and dirty. This is serious.
We're going to get down and dirty talking about date night movies.
We are.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited about today because I have quite often rail against date night movies and romantic comedies, and I come off sometimes as a bit of a prig, and a little bit of a sort of ideologue, and
I just don't know why you keep
maybe
recommending The Deer Hunter for date night, but that's okay.
I just want people to experience reality for once.
Continue. I'm sorry I interrupted.
I was just going to say that, from time to time, I could be considered a as they say in the France, a grumpus. And I want it to be known that there are romantic comedies that I adore, just absolutely love.
Sure.
And so I'm excited to mention some of them today as we discuss, as we are on the eve, the virtual eve, not the literal eve, of Valentine's Day. I think that I want to make sure that I want people to know that I believe in love.
I believe in love.
I believe.
So, yes. Also, to be blunt, Second Breakfast Nation, we want you to get lucky. You know what I mean?
Whoa. That's, you know what? Andy's speaking for himself there.
Wow.
I don't want that for any of you.
Well, you know what? I think I know who Second Breakfast Nation's favorite host is.
It's fine. It's fine. Pander all day long, Andy. Pander all day long. I will be who I am.
Phil, I think I will. I think that's my plan. So, folks, it is Valentine's Day week, or as Phil put it, we're in the vicinity of the eve, as you will. We'll be 100% honest. We're filming this the week before, and we don't know exactly what day this is coming out. So, your guess is as good as ours, Second Reputation. But Phil is right that it's tough because I'm not sure there's a genre that there's more just pablum put out than entries in the romantic comedy genre. There's just a lot of crap that comes out. And yeah, there are bad action movies, right? But the thing about bad action movies is nobody goes to see them. Like, the only people in the theater for Machete Kills were Phil and me.
It's
right?
true.
You know?
Which was weird because we live in totally different states, and I don't know how that happened, but it's what happened.
It was good to see you, though.
It was.
But even bad romantic comedies, somebody's getting dragged to that romantic comedy.
It's true. It's true. In fact, we have a guest on that we're going to have on later this week, a really wonderful friend of mine named Meg. And Meg mentions the fact that she'll talk about how bad a romantic comedy is, and then be like, but I love them. Like, they're terrible, but I love them. And I think that there is this, that it really is the only genre I really feel like it's the only genre that really just unabashedly doesn't have to be good for people to enjoy it, or for people to at least go see it.
That's right.
You know? Right. It is interesting because there are comedies that are gross or whatever, and people are like, oh, I know it's not smart, but I like it. But it still has to be well done, or people get pissed. People get really angry if comedy's not well done.
Yeah.
But if a romantic comedy is not well done, it has to be functional in the sense that there have to be attractive people, and there has to be humor on some level, and there has to be some portrayal of love, however unrealistic.
Right.
But any desire for it to be, any desire for it to be enriching or good in any way or
doesn't
insightful
really
at all.
It's not that it isn't there. It's that it's not even part of the process. It's not even part of the thought process.
Almost any other category of film, you have this sense, if you have any sort of higher functions, you have this desire for it to be remotely reflective of your morality or your even like an action movie. Like you got to root for the guy that you know the good guy, or if it's a bad guy, you're the anti-hero. You've got to be conflicted about it and be like, oh, I can't believe I'm rooting for this guy.
Right.
With romantic comedies, you don't have to like the morality of romantic comedies. If I start to bring up the morality of romantic comedies, and at all, people get annoyed. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, it's like when you start to attack a movie like Love Actually for being so disgustingly shallow, people get like offended. Like, whoa, 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 whoa! What are you thinking here?
Right.
You know.
Right. That's fair.
So, anyways,
That's fair.
it's a fascinating field.
So what we've done, Second Breakfast Nation, what we've done, as per usual, we're going to be paternalistic and we're here to take care of you. All right.
We are.
So
That's
the next time, which might be this week, since it is Valentine's Day week, the next time your boo says to you, let's watch a romantic movie, a romantic comedy, we have some options for you where you can watch a movie that is both romantic, a comedy, a romantic comedy, and a good movie. All of these things.
This is what we do.
It's what we do.
I do have to say something as a side note. Normally, I try to stay on topic during our conversations, but today's a slight exception. When did people calling each other's boo become popularized? Because what you just said it, and it was totally acceptable because people do it. But when did so this is an example of why I shouldn't be allowed to talk about romantic comedies.
Oh boy!
Because when I hear the word boo, I'm just like, what is going on in this world? Like when. No, and I'm not blaming you because you are a man of the people. I am a curmudgeon. But I don't. It's very recent that all of a sudden just calling someone your boo is perfectly natural, and I don't know where it came from.
Well, I mean, so I know that in my life, I'm worried that if you call your significant other nothing but like honey or sweetheart or baby or any term of endearment, aren't you a little worried that they're going to get bored with that term of endearment?
I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. No, I have never been worried of it, but now maybe I will.
Now you will be.
You've introduced a new neurosis into my life. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, Phil, if I can't do that for you.
Wait, but continue with your thoughts. So your point being.
So I try to switch it up a lot.
Okay.
I try to switch it up a lot. And you know what? There just aren't that many out there. Right?
True. It's true.
Having said that,
I'll go to actually using. Yeah.
Having said that, I don't think I've
go to just using like
a lot. Please continue. You'll what?
I'll go to just using insults. I'll be like, hey butthead, and just say it like I would say sweetheart or honey, and luckily, and I mean luckily, yeah, I really do.
Yeah,
I have married someone who completely and utterly understands that is not an insult, and that I am using it the way I would use sweetheart, and the fact that she gets that. Mm-hmm. I need to stay married to this woman forever. Let's just be clear.
You found your lobster. It's true.
I don't know.
It's a Friends thing. I don't know.
Okay.
It's from later season Friends.
I was hoping that was another thing that you that was a new one, like boo, like you're my lobster. Are you my lobster? What's up, lobster? I don't know.
Right.
Why not? Right.
Well, I will be sure to call my girlfriend a butthead after she watches this episode. Or listens to this episode.
Yeah, don't do it before.
No.
I'd like to point out that all three. So we have chosen 3 movies each.
Yes.
And all 3 movies are movies that, if you're listening, I bet you've seen at least one of each of ours, at least. Mm-hmm. None of them are super obscure. Maybe. Well, I think Andy has one that's pretty obscure.
Shocking! Absolutely no one.
But neither of us actually. I like this. I didn't have to. Neither of us picked movies from the 30s.
Right.
We both picked movies that are American and in color.
Because why would you want to be anything but provincial with your...
it's just, I guess what I'm saying is neither of us really went artsy fartsy on this one.
I make fun, but I agree with you. Continue.
And I think so I'm trying to do you guys a solid here. I would love to have. I almost picked The Lady Eve, which is a Preston Sturges flick from the 1930s with Henry Fonda and Barbara Stanwyck, and I didn't.
Right.
And I want you to understand that is actually because I'm trying, like Andy, to be a man of the people, and I look down on all of you and think that you're not capable of finding The Lady Eve to be a perfectly acceptable romantic comedy. So, but what I hope we did is we picked 3 movies that, like, if you've probably seen some of them, not all of them, you'll be like, I need like a good romantic comedy that's gonna like make me feel like the way I want a romantic comedy to make me feel,
Yes.
but also not trash. Like, and by the way, neither of us have picked a movie from the last couple of years.
That's true too. That's true too.
Like
I enjoy that.
I think we picked a nice little sweet spot. So the zeitgeist about or the buzz about a specific movie may be gone by now. What is the thing you say about it being off the lily?
The bloom is
what
off
that?
the rose.
The bloom is off the rose. That's the one.
I'm not quite sure how you conflated that with gilding the lily, but that's okay.
Because you say both of them a lot, and both are about flowers.
That's true. Hey, how's that being a man of the people thing working for you?
I am not good at it. It's not something that I've ever. I don't even know. Let's talk about our snooty movies, Snootface.
Let's talk
right.
about our snooty movies. Oh, we should probably get this out of the way. Unfortunately, none of these are streaming for free.
True.
All of them are rentable for $3 or less.
True.
Not all of yours, Phil. They're all on Amazon.
All 3 are Amazon streaming for $3.
I
All
don't
3.
think all of mine are on Amazon, but it's either Amazon or iTunes. But still rental for our true.
And by the way, not everything has to be free anymore. What's with you people?
I know, right?
Goodness gracious.
Do you want your boo thinking you won't spend a couple bucks on him or her?
Seriously.
Right?
I wouldn't want that for you and your boo.
My work here is done. Bye, folks. This has been another Second Breakfast podcast. Okay. You want to go first?
Yes, I do. This is probably the most popular and famous of the 3 movies that I chose. But I watched it again recently and was taken by just how special a movie it is and how, at Steve Martin's best, Steve Martin's best is about as good as it gets when it comes to thoughtful comedy.
Yeah.
And I might even say romantic comedy. And this is, of course, his adaptation of Cyrano de Bergerac, which is called Roxanne, and is co-starring Daryl Hannah. The movie Roxanne is everything you want in a romantic comedy.
It's true.
And specifically, and by that I mean it has an ugly guy getting a really hot girl. So it is everything. So I should say it's everything I want in a romantic comedy. A smart and witty man with a ridiculously large nose gets Daryl Hannah at her prime in her prime.
Totally. Oh, that's
what else
how
do I
it's
need to say about this?
Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yeah. But it's clever, it's thoughtful, it's beautiful, it's simple, it's the best romantic comedies are uncomplicated, I believe.
I think that's really well said.
And if anything, of the 3 that I pick, this one is to me the most obvious, like just simple romantic comedy.
Sure. All I'll say to that, Phil, is earn more sessions by sleeving.
I'll let that lie. But see it. Yeah,
actually, I want to say more about that. Here's the deal. It's hilarious.
It's really
and obviously, that seems like an obvious thing, but how many romantic comedies do you watch and you're just and at best you get a chuckle, right? Because
I think that's the thing you pointed out recently, or you and I were talking recently, and we were talking about how we allow ourselves to laugh at things and just fall for things just because.
Yes.
And then you see the real deal.
And this is the real deal, folks. Roxanne.
It really is. And it seems like you wouldn't think so because it's not artsy and it's a mainstream, simple romantic comedy from the 80s. But it's as good as the 80s have to offer, and I say that with no disrespect to that whole decade.
Absolutely.
It really is. It's Steve Martin at his best.
Yes. Honorable mention. Just real quick, honorable mention, because I love what you said. He's just the master of thoughtful romantic comedies at his best, and I agree with that. And I would throw in a vote for L.A. Story, which is just
I was this close, Andy.
so charming. I like Roxanne more. I own Roxanne. I don't own L.A. Story. It's so charming.
I own LA Story and not Roxanne. I was this close to choosing LA
I love
Story.
it. I love it. I love where your head's at.
And then this is one of those things where it sounds silly, but it's been 20 years since that came out, and I grew up in Orange County, and I didn't grow up in LA. I know people think it's the same, but it's not.
Sure.
And then I lived in LA, and then I saw LA Story as an adult, having lived in LA, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this movie's hilarious, and
Oh,
but
that's
like
great.
funny because true, like
Right.
deeply. And so, that's what he's the best at. And his writing, when you read his writing, I don't know. I feel very, of all the famous like comic voices out there from our upbringing or from whatever, and that would include Bill Murray and Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and
Yep.
Eddie Murphy and I mean whoever you'd want to say. Pick names from Michael Keaton. I mean, got whatever, Danny DeVito. These guys. Steve Martin, I think, is, for me, I feel like the most kindred spirit.
Nice. Well said. I like it.
Yeah. So that's all I'll say.
Okay. Nice. Do you
One-
want to just
one
do
from-
your three, or
Nah,
shall we
give me one of
alternate?
yours. Let's go back and forth.
You will note a theme in mine, and Phil's already said it. Shall we say, unconventionally attractive gentlemen, and just smoking hot women. Or actually, what's funny is mine don't necessarily like. It's not like Quasimodo and Scarlett Johansson, all right?
Right.
But I think that
To be fair, that's pretty much everyone. Everyone looks like Quasimodo next to Scarlett Johansson.
You're not
That's
wrong.
not fair.
You're not wrong. But I think what's interesting is I am attracted to movies where the people I'm watching fall in love look like actual people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And so I'm going to start with the one where one of them doesn't look like a real person. She looks like an angel fallen straight from heaven. And that is the movie The Baxter. Okay, now here's the deal. The Baxter, in the parlance of the movie, the Baxter is the really nice guy who doesn't get the girl in the romantic comedy. The guy who she's with at the beginning of the movie.
Like Bill Pullman
Bill
in Sleepless
Pullman.
in Seattle with
Yes.
Meg Ryan.
Greg Kinnear.
That's the ultimate. The
yes,
ultimate.
the ultimate
is
is
Bill Pullman.
Because here's what I don't know if you remember Sleep in Seattle, but at the end when she's leaving him and they're I think they're eating and they're having this discussion over dinner and she goes, "I don't deserve you," and with this like sad wistful smile he says, "Oh, I wouldn't put it that way," and I'm just like, dude,
The nicest guy ever.
you're just like you're gonna end up inviting each other to your weddings if you ever like
Which I from firsthand experience I don't recommend. But
indeed. So
but
yeah.
yeah.
So
being the nice guy is not. It's not
yes.
all it's cracked up to be. But go ahead. But about this movie.
Shut up, jerk. So see what I did there? Do you see?
It's
Yeah.
trying to pretend that you and I aren't both the Baxters in
It's
1,000
true.
people's lives.
And so what this movie does, that is, I won't go so far as to say revolutionary, but cute and different, is it follows the Baxter. It follows the Baxter. And you know what we all are? We're all the stars of our own movie, right? And what this movie allows is it allows this guy, played by Michael Showalter, and if you know who that is, you don't need me to say anything else, although if you know who this is, you've probably already seen the movie.
Yes.
It follows him as he is engaged to Elizabeth Banks, who does not look like a real person. She looks like the next step in human evolution. And the shall we say, the guy who comes in and tries to win her, the ex-boyfriend, clearly a romantic comedy trope, is Justin Theroux, who does not look like a real person. He looks like an angel fallen from heaven. And there is this, and it's hilarious that they try to, like, mousy her up, although she does it and doesn't look totally silly. Michelle Williams is the other woman in this sort of love quadrangle, if you will.
Yep.
and it is a movie about how you are the star of your own movie. It is a movie about how, like, this is going to sound hokey, but we're talking about romantic comedies. It's a movie about how following your heart doesn't always look like what you thought it would look like.
Right.
And it is flat out, it's just funny. It's just a funny movie. I could watch Michael Showalter do just about anything. Elizabeth Banks is hilarious.
Yes.
Justin Theroux is very funny. Michelle Williams gets no credit for playing comedy because all of her movies make you want to kill yourself. But she is amazing.
That's not true. She was in Brokeback
Go.
No, wait, she was in Blue Valentine.
Oh.
Wait, no, wait, she was in Oz the Great. No, that made me want to kill myself.
But she was lovely in it.
Yes.
In every way someone can be lovely. So, The Baxter. Worth it. An offbeat choice. But
I've only seen it.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once, and it was right when it came out on video, and I don't honestly, which has been about 10 years now, and I don't remember it very well. So,
That's fair.
And they do a good job of making her look human. Mm-hmm. She has the capacity to look. She's the only person who has I think that I can think of today, and she's not even like to me like she's not in my little like secret top 3 of the hottest women alive in my little mind.
Sure.
But I feel like she's the only person who has the business even playing Marilyn Monroe. Like her playing Marilyn Monroe was fine with me. Like I didn't actually see the movie, so what do I know? But in terms of how she looked, like I was like, that's fine. Let her play Marilyn Monroe. That makes sense.
Right.
And the fact that she could play Marilyn Monroe and no one should get mad about it says everything that needs to be said about her looks. And they managed to make her look like a human being that you would not like, that you might actually walk by without noticing right away.
Here's what they managed to do. They managed to make Michelle Williams someone you fall in love with her personality.
Well said, Andy Roth.
You know
well
what I mean?
said, Andy Roth. Yes, absolutely.
And it's just adorable. It's an adorable movie.
Yes.
Moving on. What's your next one?
Speaking of Michelle Williams and uplifting romantic comedies, Brokeback Mountain. No, I'm kidding. But
By the way, since it's Valentine's Day, I can go ahead and say this. Saw that movie on a date.
Yeah, I saw that movie with my wife before we were married, and it was her idea. She's like, "Oh, I've seen it before, but you've never seen it. You should see this." And I was like,
"No, this was an early date. Like,
yeah,
it was
no,
an
I know.
Early date in a relationship.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
Strangely, that relationship didn't work out.
I was gonna say, that's not the girl you're with now, huh?
That wasn't
Weird.
why it didn't work out, but I can't imagine that helped.
Right. Or was it? Let's put it that way. I picked a little movie by the name of Waitress. Waitress is starring Kerry Russell, who is one of those actresses who I think just straight up doesn't get credit for what she's good at.
Yep.
I don't think I don't think she gets credit for what she's capable of. I've never actually seen Felicity. It sounded like a chick show, so I never watched it.
Right.
So I'm sure there's a crew of people who love her. But I think on the wider scale, she doesn't. And she's now on this show called The Americans, in which she is phenomenal. I guarantee you, she's not getting any credit for it. That's my point.
Right.
I think she's just one of those people that people are prejudiced against for some reason. But Waitress is a movie where she plays this miserable person who is a waitress in a marriage that is awful and I believe abusive. I haven't seen it in a while. And she finds out she's pregnant and ends up starting an affair with her OB. I mean, it's all sorts of healthy behaviors here in this movie.
Right.
It's got a wonderful cameo or supporting act from Andy Griffith, another one from Cheryl, whose name I'll forget. Hines, who's from Curb Your Enthusiasm fame.
Yes.
But Kerry Russell, it's Kerry Russell's movie, and her big thing is that she's the greatest pie maker in the history of the universe, but she works in this crappy little, diner, like Mel's Diner, basically.
Right.
Here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to tell you who this movie is really a romance about. But I will put it to you, Andy, and you probably know, you may or may not have already just guessed this, but if this movie is a romantic comedy, which I think that it is, and a romantic comedy ends with two people ending up together, I say this movie falls into that category, and the revelation of how it is a romantic comedy is one of my favorite revelations of a movie in the last 10 years. It really, the ending will stick with you like you cannot believe.
It is marvelous. It
Yes.
is marvelous.
Yes. And my biggest complaint,
yeah.
of course, is that so many movies, and you're going to mention one actually, equate romance with life and death, essentially.
Sure.
And
Sure.
and
Well
and I
said.
think the movie you're going to mention is fine. I think it's one of my favorite movies of all time, so of course I'm okay with it. But what I like about this movie is I think it manages to put things in their proper, like, priorities. Actually, in the end, the priorities are priorities. Like it's a movie within the realm of reality,
Yep.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
And every performance is beautiful, and the overall message of the movie is, I think, beautiful. But what I love about it is uncompromising. The humor is it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. But the movie is bright and a comedy and fun, and you're enjoying yourself the entire time. You legitimately, for instance, fear for her life. Like, what will her husband do to her?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I find that really fascinating. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do. I love that. I love that. One of the sort of most overt moments of truth in the movie comes from a short order cook, but it's not like the stereotypical, like, wise short order cook. It's a guy who you've seen be a philandering doofus
Yep.
for basically the entire movie, and all that happens is he's asked a straight question and he gives a straight answer.
Yeah.
And it's just a lovely moment. And I also want to point out someone who I don't think gets a lot of credit, Nathan Fillion, who gets a lot of credit for playing everything tongue in cheek. Now, I don't watch Castle, but I get the sense that is just more of, not quite the same, but more of similar from him.
Right.
This
Fillion
is-
doing Fillion.
Yeah, he is not playing he's not playing irony in this movie, and it is, and he's great, and God, everyone is good. I forget her name. The other waitress,
Is also the one who wrote and directed the movie.
and was tragically.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but if you want to, that's your business.
She was murdered.
Yes.
Because almost because of, like, a mistaken identity, or not mistaken identity, but like a mistaken. Yeah. Look it up.
Her name
if
is
you want.
Adrian. Her name is Adrian Shelley.
Shelley. And she's adorable, and she has a romance of her own in the movie. It is a delight, and
Yes.
also not for nothing, it's also the story of the romance between humans and food, because I mean the food in this movie is shot like it's shot like a Playboy centerfold. Like, it's just,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's just like, wow, that couldn't look tastier. It's unreal, you know? So, yeah, well done. I love all three of your choices.
Thank you.
That.
I've only named two of them, but thank you.
Yeah, well, folks, we know what all three are.
What?
My next one, it will be this one that deals that equates, shall we say, love with life and death, most literally, and that is a movie called Defending Your Life. This is the smartest movie that I am going to list. It is such an intelligent comedy. The storyline is this: when you die, you have to defend your life choices. And it's not heaven or hell, it's, shall we say, moving forward or going back and trying again.
Right.
And the conceit of the movie is we use so little of our brains that everything in the world scares us. And so what you have to do is you have to overcome your fear. Mm-hmm. And so while I agree with you on one level, Phil, that it equates love with life and death, what I actually think this movie is doing is something. It's working on a couple of levels. Obviously, it is equating love with life and death because it's love in the afterlife. But it is equating what it is doing is setting up love as the thing that allows you to be fearless. And
Yes.
and it does it with a nebbishy Jewish guy played by Albert Brooks, who is stunningly a nebbishy Jewish guy, and
Your second movie in a row of nebbishy Jewish guys as protagonists. Continue.
really Michael Showalter Jewish?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair.
Nebbishy for sure.
no argument there.
Thank you.
And Meryl Streep, who, while a beautiful woman, is not a bombshell.
Nope. Yep.
And
You got it.
and she is, if this movie were being made today, the role would be played by Zooey Deschanel, and it would be a manic pixie dream girl. But this is actually do you know what I mean? Like
I do. I do.
But it would be the character from 500 Days of Summer.
Picking Meryl Streep is so smart for this movie because and listen, I agree with everything you've said, and what I said about it is certainly not a complaint. If anything, I think that what Brooks does is he takes the trope of love being about life and death and takes it to its illogical extreme for the sake of promoting this idea that love can help you overcome fear. Yes. I taught this movie. I showed this movie to a high school class for mythology to show how a myth, because if you take this movie as myth, if you show basically when you read the myth of a society, by looking at the details of the myth, you can see what that society's priorities are.
Nice.
And so by showing this movie, by this guy creating a myth about what happens when you die and how to move forward, being about conquering fear, courage, wholeheartedness, and things, and smart and intelligence. Notice that the emphasis for salvation, so to speak, and it's not called salvation, but the emphasis for enlightenment or whatever, it has to do with courage and intelligence, not morality, not self-sacrifice, any of that stuff, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
all that being really interesting. But what I love about it is, you mentioned it, like Meryl Streep just plays what it comes down to. I mean, an extraordinarily good person and a kind of a goofy person, but essentially a very normal person. Just a person.
Yes.
She's not the archetype of some kind of anything.
Right.
She just plays a woman you would meet at the grocery store who happens to be a wonderful person.
Yeah. Well said.
And he plays the person you meet at the grocery store that probably isn't that wonderful.
Right.
And that's all good. Like, and
right.
It works.
Yep.
I think Albert Brooks rarely makes a perfect film, but I think that he attains perfection within almost every film he makes.
Well said.
Like I have issues. Like Mother is, I love the movie Mother beyond reason. There's a lot of issues with the structure of that movie, but there are so many moments that are just like I could live. If there was a channel, an Albert Brooks channel, I would watch it all the time.
Right. Right.
Can you imagine it? He's only made like 7 movies. Can you imagine the Albert Brooks channel be so boring? I would watch it all the time.
I would watch it all the time.
My wife would be so annoyed with me. But I'm so glad you picked this movie, Andy. I'm so glad you picked this movie.
Thank you. The last thing I will say is romantic comedies are known for having like zany side characters, right? The cast of side characters in this movie is just a murderer's row. First and foremost,
yes.
Rip Torn.
Oh my goodness gracious!
It is one of the funniest. It is one of the best comedic supporting roles I think in movie history. He is outrageously funny in this movie. Outrageously funny.
This is a movie, and I don't know how you and I discovered it with my mom. I don't know when you discovered this movie. I watched it with my mom in the theaters. But I don't remember how you discovered it, but it's a movie that you and I both quote to each other all the time.
All the time.
And
all the time.
Like anytime you hear one of us say, "Danny, wrap it up," we're just quoting that movie. And It's not that, like, if you hear us say it, it's not that big of a deal. But it is now lived in. Like, there's so many things, and so many of the quotes come from Rip Torn.
So many. You're like,
but this movie also has Buck Henry, and Buck Henry's performance is like a performance that you wouldn't think of as a big deal at all, but then the 1000th time you watch it, you're like, God, I love that performance.
Yes.
Quiet, but good.
Yes.
Oh.
very, very quiet.
Right.
Very quiet.
And what's the name of the redhead lady who's in this movie? Lee Remick.
Yes.
No, Lee.
Yes.
What's her name? What's the name of the redhead?
Is it not the prosecutor or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's not Lee Remick. It's Lee. I'm looking it up. Keep
Okay.
talking about this movie, or we'll move on to something else. But
I
tell
will.
me other actors that you love in this movie.
One of the best cameos. I'll go with this. One of the best cameos in movie history. Shirley MacLaine.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. When she shows up and you hear someone go, "Oh my God!"
There are so many.
It was Lee Grant, by the way.
Lee Grant. Right. Lee Remick is the mom from The Omen.
Right.
Gary Beach, who I first knew who he was as the fabulously gay director from the stage and then movie version of the musical of The Producers.
All right.
He plays the guy who the car salesman at the beginning of the movie.
Love that whole thing.
Love that whole thing.
Amazing stuff.
We have a saying around here: if you can't tell what the smell is after 3 days, try dry cleaning. What?
What? Gotta go, hon. Gotta go.
Well, I think it's something. It's
Have you lost weight? Have you lost weight? You saw me a week ago. You just look thinner. Well, I just spent $50,000 on a car. That's it.
That's it. Don't show my car second. My car looks like a turd. You know
That's
what?
one of my favorite moments in all of film history. Is him seeing the little car after thinking his car is the big car.
Right.
But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something though. We haven't even talked for the last 5 minutes at all about the romantic aspect of this movie. And what I want to tell you is this is absolutely a romantic comedy.
It really is. It really is.
And it's beautifully romantic.
And it is my favorite romantic comedy of all time, as I don't think anyone will be surprised to hear because I think I've said it. I feel like when I'm not saying something else, I'm actually just saying these words, is When Harry Met Sally. And one of my favorite things about it is that it is not people falling in love because they are meant to fall in love. It's people falling in love because it's right that they fall in love, but they are actually suited to each other. And they fall in love with each other's brains in addition to each other's bodies. And that is what happens in Defending Your Life. These people fall in love with literally each other's person. And I just love it.
I love everything you just said. It
Thanks,
makes
man.
me want to be a better person in that movie. So
Yeah, fair. Third movie.
this is a movie that most people have heard of and a lot of people didn't see. And I will even say a lot of people saw and didn't like it that much. And I want to say to you, go see it again.
Okay.
Like, trust me on this.
Okay.
This is a movie called Intolerable Cruelty. Intolerable Cruelty is a Coen Brothers movie. It is a romantic comedy starring George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones, who are both at the height of their ridiculous gorgeousness. I mean, really, I remember watching it, and like my brother and I both saw it, I think the same day, and we talked on the phone the next day, and I was like, has there ever been like a more gorgeous screen couple? Like ever? Like I'm trying to think of like maybe like what, like Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman, like maybe, but
Right.
but those movies are always super serious. So
Right.
to see these two gorgeous people being funny and gorgeous, it's really crazy.
Right.
This movie I've seen 3 times in the last year. This is becoming one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies. It is one of the most eminently watchable movies. Every single line, Andy, is funny. Every single line is funny. Every single character is funny. It has, talk about great supporting casts. This has Jeffrey Rush. This has Billy Bob Thornton. Billy Bob Thornton is amazing in this movie. Amazing in this movie. This has some guy who I don't know. Kristen knows him. My wife knows him from Private Practice. I don't know him in this, who he is. He's also in Galaxy Quest. He is hilarious. This movie has Cedric the Entertainer for some reason. It has the guy from Moonraker, the bad guy from Moonraker. It has, I mean, it's just every
That's right.
every single. It's got our guy. You love him, Herman, Edward Herman.
Yes, that's right.
Paul
That's right.
Paul Adelstein is the guy that I was trying to refer, who plays George Clooney's assistant. It's got Richard Jenkins. This movie is just non-stop with the people in this. And what I want to say is, it is my pick for ridiculous, outlandish, gorgeous people falling in love under stupid circumstances movie. Like,
Nice.
this is, to me, they managed to make fun of romantic comedies and yet be totally romantic. This
Okay.
is that really thin line between this is that really thin line between satire and spoof, perhaps, like where they satirize romantic comedies, but in a way that is utterly romantic.
Okay. Okay.
And I guess I want everyone to see this movie again and just give it a shot.
I will.
And-
I didn't hate it. I liked it, but it was unmemorable to me. So I will give it I will give it another shot for you.
This movie came out at an interesting time during the filmography of the Coens, right? So they made Fargo, which
Mm-hmm.
won them great acclaim, and they didn't win the Academy Award, but they got nominated for the Academy Award. I'm not going to want to talk about the travesty of justice that was. After which came out Big Lebowski. Of course, the Big Lebowski has since become their biggest cult hit and was a big hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then came Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which of course was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou.
Right.
Another
Right.
cultural phenomenon, really, and a movie that they won. Not only did they won Grammys because they co-produced the soundtrack.
That's right.
And I believe it's the best-selling soundtrack of all time. And then they went on to make The Man Who Wasn't There, which was their little artsy flick, and people kind of let it be. And then they made Intolerable Cruelty, and it had George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones. And everyone was like, well, this is going to be a big hit. And then it kind of wasn't.
It kind of wasn't. Right. Yeah.
And
that's fair.
so, yeah. Anyways, I guess what I'm saying is it gets short shrift, and I want everyone to see Intolerable Cruelty again.
Nice.
That's my deal. Oh, I don't know that there's a better comic actor alive than George Clooney. His comic timing kills me. I shouldn't say a better than him, but he needs to be discussed as a comic actor
I love it.
because his comic acting, his comic timing and phrasing just blows me away every time.
I love where your head's at right now. I love it.
Okay.
My last movie, I will say, I think is unique among the 6 that we have discussed in that it won an Academy Award for acting.
Wow.
Yes. With one of the finest Shakespearean actors of all time, Sir John Gielgud. The movie is Arthur. It is not the remake with Russell Brand, which
What?
which I don't want to speak ill of because I have not seen.
And Greta Gerwig's in it too.
Yes, whom I love. I think she's wonderful.
You should.
Makes me sad.
Shouldn't make you sad. It's a lovely remake.
That's. I don't believe you. Is the thing.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
Have you seen it? Did you see it?
I've seen it 4 times. It's on HBO a lot.
Okay. I was like,
I didn't like go to the theater 4 times.
oh, okay. Oh God, I just got it. Ugh. Okay, just making sure. Okay, this movie stars Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli back when she was lucid, because she is no longer lucid.
This isn't Arrested Development era Liza Minnelli.
She's
right.
wonderful. Here's the deal with Liza Minnelli. She is still hilarious, as anyone who has seen Arrested Development can attest to. But that's the only thing she can do now, right?
Yep.
She was like, I mean, lucid sounds like such a low bar, but like she's adorable.
lovely. She's
She is-
lovely in this movie.
Yes. I don't know who her father, the name of the actor who plays her father, but he is hilarious. Sir John Gielgud is hilarious. Dudley Moore is... this movie, with all due respect to Roxanne and Defending Your Life, I think this is the funniest movie of the 6. When you say, and you said this about Intolerable Cruelty, when you say every line is funny, I think every line in this movie is funny. There is,
Nice.
and I don't. It might be one of these things like role models. How I think that movie's funny. I think that movie's funny because it's funny, but I'm not quite sure why I think it is so funny. but it's just it hits me right where I live, right in the funny bone. And there is a scene where Liza Minnelli, who is a tough talking, street wise woman who falls in love with a zillionaire played by Dudley Moore, and she shows up, she crashes a party, and he's like, "Oh, hello, darling, how are you?" And he's like, and he looks at her, and I forget what she says. She's like, "Hello, Arthur," and he goes, "What are you doing here, and why are you talking like that?" And I die every single time that exchange happens. And yeah, like the one-liners, it's like a stand-up comedy routine, but it also, and I this is not a deep movie. I will just say that right up front.
Okay.
But Dudley Moore plays a functional alcoholic, and it is about him sort of putting his alcoholism to bed when something more important happens. And refreshingly, the something that is more important that happens is not the romance.
Interesting.
I don't want to say anything more. Do you remember what it is?
If it's the same as the remake, I do.
It might be.
But I hear that, and I mean, I believe you either way. Let's put it that way, and I'm excited about it. So I need to watch Arthur again. Honestly, I haven't seen it in years.
And I will watch the remake at some point before I die.
You don't need to. I mean, it's not. You'll be fine not doing
Sure.
that. It's not going to change your life.
Sure.
I have a man crush on. No, that's not true. I have a love-hate relationship with Russell Brand's work of like body of work.
Sure.
But I am more.
His
but at this
oeuvre?
point, it's more love. Yeah, oeuvre. It's more love than hate at this point.
Sure.
And but none of that. Regardless, tell me about the romance between Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli in this movie.
It is certainly Hollywood-esque, like mismatched people who like either they hate each other or one of them hates the other, and then they're thrown together by wacky circumstances. That's all true. It's got a lot of the romantic comedy tropes, but it just works. It just works, and it is just great. And that doesn't keep it, because it is genuinely funny, and it's genuinely funny while being genuinely and generally true. It is also genuinely well acted. And so the fact that it is, shall we say, by the numbers of the genre, doesn't keep it from feeling earned. The romance feels earned. It feels real.
Yeah.
There is a moment where Gielgud tells him, "Arthur, do what you want." And because they're not talking about the romance, he's like, "What do you mean?" And Gielgud's like, "Figure it out." And there is, and I'm looking. You know what this movie has that none of the other ones have. I don't think. It has a loving parental relationship, which is not Arthur's parents.
No, right.
Gielgud
Right,
is his
that sounds
butler.
the same as the remake. Yeah, right.
He is his butler, but he basically raised him, and it is, and it is screamingly funny, and truly heartwarming, and separate from the heartwarming, really romantic. I can't say enough about this movie. I love it. I could talk about it forever, but I won't.
Thank you, because I need to watch it.
Those are our 3 movies.
been a
Those are
long
our
time.
6
Yeah.
movies. All of them will make you happy. All of them will tug at the heartstrings, whether you're in love or not.
All romantic and comedic.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I want to say.
romantically comedic.
Or comical. Yes.
Comedically romantic.
Funny moi.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and honestly, that's it, folks. Stop listening to us. Go out with your boo. See what I did there? I brought it back. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
No,
mean to
we
do
can't.
that.
They can't. Not if they're going to listen to our advice. They have to stay home with their boo.
Be with your
Thank you.
boo.
God, we got to stop. I can't. The word makes me want to vomit. It does. I can't even stop it.
Schmoops.
Andy, I love you. We need to stop because we're not going to be friends anymore in a couple minutes.
That's fair. I love you too,
Okay.
and I don't want that to happen. So we'll
Okay,
sign off.
okay.
Folks.
All right.
Happy Valentine's Day week.
Yes.
Enjoy whatever state of relationship you find yourselves in. Enjoy movies
Yes.
because they're the love that keeps on giving.
And if you've listened this long, can I say one last thing about Valentine's Day?
Please do.
Don't be the person who's like, Valentine's Day is a made-up holiday. It's a total waste of time. It's stupid. You know what? I've been that person. And the thing is, it doesn't get you anywhere. Like, who cares? All holidays are made up. All of them. Every single one is made up at some point.
Right.
There was a point when they just decided, we're going to celebrate this Jesus raising from the dead thing. Mm-hmm. And then they had to make up when they were going to celebrate it. Mm-hmm. Everything is a decision at some point. We all make it up. Mm-hmm. Shut up. Buy into it. Buy your person, your loved one something. Shut up and watch a good movie and love things and be romantic. And again, shut up.
Right.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I love you. Get out of here. Go, kids. Go.
Folks, this is another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. We'll see you again real soon. Bye.
Bye.
The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.